Howdy folks, and welcome back to, well, it's not really an episode of Mingles with Jingles, it is definitely not going to be long enough. It's more a sort of summary of what I got up to over the course of the weekend at Tankfest, and what you can expect to see on YouTube over the course of the next week. And the reason this is not really a proper episode of Mingles with Jingles is because I've just gotten back from Tankfest, and I am absolutely knackered. It was great. I mean, it really, really was great. It was one of the, well, I think it might even be the best Tankfest I've been to. And that's saying something, because Tankfest is always amazing. But this time around, certainly from a personal perspective, it was so much better organised. The first Tankfest I went to, let me see. Of course, I went to one Tankfest and then I missed one because I was at the Dayton Air Show. Then I was last year, so 4 years ago was my first Tankfest, and I think 4 years ago I was running at about 100,000 subscribers, and so I met a lot of you at that first Tankfest, but it was completely manageable, and it was a novelty because it was the first time anything like that had really happened to me, and I really, really enjoyed it. And then, of course, I missed the next Tankfest because I was at the Dayton Air Show in the USA, and then last year's Tankfest, as you all, I'm sure, know, there's no way anybody was ever going to be prepared for that. And so this year, both the Tank Museum and Wargaming took steps, not just for me, but for the other YouTubers and live streamers who were there as guests of Wargaming, and took steps both to ensure that we would properly be able to meet and greet by sorting out facilities. We had a marquee tent next to the Vehicle Conservation Centre, which was where Wargaming had their stage and all of their gaming PCs and consoles so people could play World of Tanks and World of Warships. And we had proper scheduled times where you could turn up and say, okay, I want to meet Quickie Baby, I want to meet Circumflexes, Pointy Haired Jedi, the Beard Guys, I want to meet Jingles, I want to meet Rita. And you'd know exactly when we were going to be there. So you could get yourself there in advance and not be disappointed. And that also meant that, unlike last year, I actually knew when I was going to have time to go to the press area in the arena and get some good filming done. And I got some great filming done this time around. I've got some really, really good footage to share with you when I do the Tankfest video, which I plan on putting out tomorrow. I'm going to lock myself into the editing suite and go through the hours of video that I recorded to get you the highlights of Tankfest 2016. But first, I plan to sleep for at least 12 hours because I'm old and I'm exhausted. I mean, we had a fantastic time, but it was really, really tiring. It was good to be able to meet so many of you once again. But at the same time, the downside was that, well, there were only these limited time slots available. Slots? I've forgotten how to speak English. That's how tired I am. I've forgotten how to speak my own language. Yeah, anyway, there were these limited time slots available where you could queue up to meet Circumflexes, Quickie Baby, Pointy Haired Jedi, me. And outside of those time slots, I had to be somewhere else because there was something else that had been organised that I had to attend, and so on and so on. Which meant that while it was good to know that if you wanted to say hello to Jingles, you had to be at the marquee tent outside the Vehicle Conservation Centre at 2 p.m. on Saturday and at I think it was 2 p.m. again on Sunday, with just that 1 hour slot available on both days, somebody was going to get disappointed, and I know for a fact, particularly on the Saturday, that a lot of you did get disappointed. In fact, my 1 hour slot ended up overrunning by half an hour because I just couldn't get away. And I know that a lot of you did get disappointed, and I really, really hate that. But unfortunately, I had to be somewhere else, and I was already running late as it was. And people were shouting out, and it really broke my heart. People were shouting out, Jingles, as I'm being pulled away. Literally, people were coming over, museum and wargaming staff, grabbing me by the scruff of the neck and marching me away to where I was supposed to be and had been supposed to be for the last half hour. And people were shouting, Jingles, my son's been queuing up for an hour to see you. Can we just get one picture? And I'm like, okay, just one picture. And this poor kid would move forward, and the other 100 people in the line would see him moving forward, and they'd all surge forward with him, and I just couldn't do it. There were other places that I had to be, other commitments that I had to honour, and that was the real. If there was a bad point to Tankfest, that right there was it, because I know just how excited people were to see me and say hello. And if you've been standing in the rain, particularly on the Saturday, for an hour, and just as you get into the head of the queue, that's it, folks. Jingles has to go. I mean, it must have been bitterly disappointing, and I hated to see it. But other than that, which was, disappointing, This has easily been my favourite Tankfest so far. I mean, I feel like I managed to strike a decent balance between meeting as many of you as possible and still getting out into the arena in the press area, setting the camera up on the tripod. Much, much better tripod this time around. The camera doesn't shake nearly as much when I'm panning around. It's a really, really good piece of kit. And actually get some video footage of Tankfest for you, as well as getting out and about, having a look at the reenactors, and actually doing some shopping. We showed this off actually, because one of the things that we did, mostly on the Saturday, it was a meet and greet, and I spent a lot of time on Saturday in the arena just filming stuff. There were some things that I missed, but I definitely got some good footage of the stuff that was going on in the arena. Sunday was mostly a community day for me. Hardly any time in the arena filming the vehicles. Didn't miss much because the arena show on the Sunday was basically a repeat of the arena show on the Saturday. So we had, let me see, a meet and greet at 2 o'clock. Went on until 3 o'clock, and then I got dragged away to be interviewed live on Facebook. This was something new. I didn't even know you could do this. They were sort of streaming it live on Facebook. They'd interviewed Quickie Baby and I think Circumflexes the day before, and I can't remember who else was being interviewed before me, but they interviewed myself and Rita. They had a whole bunch of questions, and they were streaming it live on Facebook, and I had a look at the comments when I got home before sitting down to do this video, and it was all just Jingles, kiss Rita, Jingles, kiss Rita. This comment was just getting repeated over and over and over. But that was fun. And then immediately after that, they sat us down, and we basically alternated playing World of Tanks on the Tankfest accounts that they had. And this was being broadcast on the big screen behind us. They had a little desk set up on the stage with a computer, and we were basically playing World of Tanks for the guys that were there at the wargaming event in the Vehicle Conservation Centre. And I wasn't particularly good, but I had some amusing moments. My first match was in the TOG 2, due to popular demand, and it didn't go particularly well. And then right after that, I thought, well, I have to have a go in the KV2 because, strong tank. Funnily enough, every game that we played in the Wargaming Tankfest accounts that people were using on the various different machines that they had set up at Tankfest, every single game that we played, we were top tier. Now, I'm not suggesting that there was some rigged matchmaking going on for the guys who were actually playing World of Tanks at Tankfest, but yeah, it makes you think. But anyway, so we're there in the KV2, and we're on the Wide Park map, and straight away I think KV2, Wide Park, load the high explosive, and headed to the railway bridge, and just kept popping out through the tunnel, taking pot shots at the enemy tanks at the other end of the road. Well, there was a DW2 and I think a Skoda T25 playing peekaboo with my KV2. Yes, I know, the fools. And I lined up a shot on the DW2, but, well, you know what the KV2's like with that 152mm howitzer. It has a blast radius. It's like, artillery. And I think I wiped them both out with one shot. The crowd loved that one. And then we had fun in Bert the Avenger as well. I just went full tank destroyer mode. The problem was that, I'm not trying to make excuses. Well, I am, right? But really, the problem was the way the computer was set up on the desk, there was no travel whatsoever in the mouse. You could only move the mouse about an inch to the left. An inch to the right. Because the mouse cable was so short. So trying to play Bert the Avenger in artillery mode, when you're trying to scroll around the map in the top-down view, it was just a waste of time. So I thought, screw this, I'll just go tank destroyer mode. I charged, I think it was an Oni, whichever the Japanese Tier 6 Super Heavy is, and basically did what Bert does. And I just charged right into his side and derped him at point-blank range. And he didn't have the gun depression. He couldn't touch me. I got a little bit carried away, of course. Drove around the front because I was vulnerable to flanking fire from the other tanks on his team that were behind him. So I drove around the front of him. I'm just there face to face, and he couldn't get the gun down low enough to hit me. So what are you going to do now, sunshine? Unfortunately, at point blank range, I fired high explosive right into him, and it took like 90% of my own health off. Didn't even scratch him. But hey, it was funny. And then they made me play the M3 Lee. Which was only fair because they'd made Rita play the DW2 as well. But it was fun. Well, anyway, talking about the sort of stuff that I'd bought, on the way in to Tankfest that morning, we walked, because the car parks were all the way over to one end of the museum, And you come out of the car park and you walk right through the dealer area where people were selling various different merchandise and stuff. And I saw one stall that was selling nothing but action figures. So I thought, oh, well, you know what I'm like with a man cave. I've got like all kinds of toys. And they were selling exactly the same kind of 6-scale action figures as my Captain America, Catwoman, Marshall, Jim Raynor, Terminator, Black Widow, all the stuff that you see in the Project Man Cave video. So I thought, I'm going to get myself some of these. So I got myself a Falklands War Gurkha heavy machine gunner. And then that was going to be it. I thought, that'll do. And then as I turned away, something caught my eye. They had a Joseph Stalin action figure. I am not making this up, and I just knew that I had to have it. So we had Stalin sitting on the desk next to the computer where I was playing World of Tanks. And any time the KV-2 fired a shot and missed, Stalin would get slapped in the face. It was... I really hope somebody had been filming it because it must have been hilarious. I'm going to have a look. Give them all time to get home after Tankfest and upload their video to YouTube, but I really hope somebody was filming that because it must have been hilarious. We had a lot of fun. It was a really, really, really good day. Unfortunately, well, it was a really, really long weekend because prior to the Tankfest on the Saturday and Sunday, Friday was also a Wargaming Community Contributor Day at the Tank Museum. So we spent the whole day there on Friday, which meant I had to travel down on Thursday to get the hotel for Thursday night, and basically been away from home for 4 days, and we've been on our feet constantly for 3 of those 4 days, and I'm just exhausted. So there's absolutely no way that I'm going to be able to manage a proper episode of Mingles with Jingles today. So instead, you're basically getting a highlight reel of what you can expect to see when I cut and edit my Tankfest video, which should be tomorrow's video. I'm going to lock myself in the editing suite and get that done. But there's also a couple of other things that I wanted to announce. Now, while I was being interviewed at Tankfest, they asked me if there's anything coming up, any interesting projects, for example, that we wanted to share. And I thought, well, you know what? Because I know a lot of you have been sitting around thinking, Jingles, well, come on, it was 500,000 subscribers weeks ago. You're at 511,000 now. What are you going to do? Well, Wargaming have very, very generously donated a whole bunch of prizes. We're talking, for World of Tanks, 3 Type 59s. Yeah, not just one, that's right. 3 Type 59s. 3 Type 62s. 6 Type 64s. So I've got these to give away. For World of Warships, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I've got a whole bunch, I think 6, Sims class Tier 7 premium destroyers, which is amazing. A whole bunch of Yubari premium Tier 4 cruisers. And there was some other premium ship, I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'm too tired and lazy to go and look it up, as well as a whole bunch of signal flags. And the reason I haven't actually gone ahead and announced the 500,000 subscriber contest, which I'm going to do in this video, and also do an announcement video on it, is because I'm still waiting to find out whether or not... You see, these prizes have been donated by Wargaming EU, not Wargaming North America. Now, it shouldn't be too difficult to get Wargaming North America in on the act as well, so that all you guys in the EU server and the North American server, sorry Southeast Asian server, but Wargaming Southeast Asia pretty much do their own thing. But it shouldn't be too difficult for me to make sure that if you're on the North American server, you've got just as good a chance of winning a prize as if you're on the EU server. So I've just been waiting for confirmation of that from Wargaming. They haven't given me a final answer yet, but they've said they can't see any problems with it. So I should be able to say yes or no very, very soon. Now, what are you going to have to do in order to get your hands on one of these prizes? Well, I'm definitely not running a replay contest, right? Not with 500,000 subscribers. I think the last time I did a replay contest of any kind of size and complexity was when I had around about 100 or 150,000 subscribers, and that took 3 weeks to go through the replays. And I figured, you know what? What's the point in having 500,000 salt mine workers if you have to do all the work yourself? So this is basically what the contest is going to be. What I want you to do is make your own World of Tanks video, or World of Warships video, because I have World of Warships prizes as well. Make your video, and it can't be that difficult. I mean, I do a video every day, so I'm sure you guys can do one over the course of a week. Make your video, upload it to YouTube, and then I'll provide an email address. It's probably going to be the Jingles Contests email address. Provide an email address for you to email me the link on YouTube to your video. I will then publicize these video links, and then you guys go in and you vote for your winners. So you have to do all the work of arranging the video, uploading it, letting me know where it is, and then you guys basically pick the winner. So all I have to do is go through and count the number of thumbs ups on the various different videos. As simple as that, and the guys who get the most thumbs ups on their videos, we'll probably let it run for a week or so, they're going to get all kinds of prizes. I may also have a third category for World of Tanks Blitz, possibly World of Tanks console, but I don't know for sure whether or not that is going to happen. But I'll have a word with Wargaming and see what we can do. And, well, what can I say? A contest where you guys have to do all the work? It works for me. The least work I have to do, the better. And there are some fantastic prizes to be given away. If it turns out that we can't actually manage the prizes on the North American server as well, then I'll just basically dip my hand in my own pocket and organise some prizes for North American entries from the North American gift shop. And that, I'm afraid, is it for this very, very short. Well, it's not really an episode of Mingles with Jingles, is it? But, well, I'm just too tired. As soon as I'm now going to hit that render button, go away, finally get out of the clothes I've been wearing all day, take a shower, upload this to YouTube, go to bed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you to everybody who came along to Tankfest and said hello. As always, fantastic to see you all. And I hope those of you that did go to Tankfest had a fantastic time. I know I did. And to everybody else, well, I hope you had a good weekend. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.